Hello, everyone. Pleasure meeting all of you. I'm Jose Gorbea. People know me as Pepe. Jose and Pepe in English is like Charles and Chuck, and in Spanish, we do the same. I am the global head of brands and sustainability innovation at HP Graphic Arts. And before that, I did 20 years in marketing in companies like Nestle, Kraft Foods, and Mondelez International. And after 5 years of joining HP, I've been blessed with this opportunity to humanize what we call the digital printing technology, which you will discover what it can do to create better marketing, but most importantly, to reduce carbon emissions of how brands advertise through physical experiences like packaging. So, based on all of that, I have created this little story that I hope that you like called We Are the Co-Creation Generation. And there are three things that are here for you to learn. And the benefits from this is that, first of all, you will learn what is the real benefit for your business to shift your mindset to co creation, how you can address CO2 and waste reduction by leveraging digital packaging as part of your media mix, and most importantly, how to do better marketing and more effective marketing that enables sustainable behavior change. So we're going to cover these three topics through the course of this presentation. I will be more than happy to follow up with you at a later moment. So let's start with Benjamin Franklin. When he was building America, for him, it was very simple. It was not about telling or teaching people what to do because they could forget and they might remember. It was more about involving them so that they could actually learn how to build the fabric of a nation. And in today's day and age, brands and storytellers need to do the same. They need to involve the community that they want to be part of. We don't want to be any longer talking to brands about consumers or even people. It's more important to talk about communities and how you embed yourself in that community to activate the community, involve them in what you want to achieve, a greater purpose, and then they will learn how to do it themselves. And I think that's when you're truly going to be impacting change. Before we get into how to do that, it's very important to talk about a new pandemic, a pandemic I've decided to create called the sadness pandemic by the acronym that you can see on the screen, which is around saturation of content, more than 10,000 ads per day that we need to see, anxiety of the decay of our planet, and distrust because we no longer trust what governments or brands are telling us. We mostly trust word of mouth, people that we know in our community, and those are challenges that brands need to learn to overcome in this day and age with better solutions and better marketing. So because of this, we know that the usual methods of advertising are still valid, but they're not working as good as they were working before. So something has to evolve, something has to change, especially coming out of the pandemic of COVID-19. One of the things I've learned over the years by partnering with Cannes Lions is that when they created this research around the effectiveness code, where they analyzed the last 10 years of Cannes Lions winners, this is what you see on the left, what I call marketing as usual. Most brands and companies and agencies are using this, triangle of online video, TV, and social media in most of the campaigns that they activate. But it doesn't mean that these are the most effective channels to activate. In the end, consumers live in both a digital and a physical world. So when you see the role that packaging has taken in terms of more effective marketing, it really tells you that the balance is not there yet. Very few brands are actually combining online video with a physical experience plus social media. But the brands that are doing this are the brands that are actually winning. And most importantly, in a forum like today, they're impacting positively sustainable behavior change. Now, how do you do that? How do you do physical experiences that better engage with consumers? Well, first of all, we did a big piece of research at HP when I started that was about analyzing 50 million conversations on social media for over a year on the topic of personalization. We wanted to learn what are the drivers behind it, why people want it, and we learned that not only the younger generations want it more and more. We learned that the market of personalized items is quite big, and we learned that shoppers, at least, are willing to pay a 10% premium price for a personalized item. So there's a lot of value in personalization as a trend. And the other part is the action intention gap, which I'm sure is going to be heavily discussed throughout this summit, which is about, the amount of people that say that they want to live a more sustainable life, but very few of them, as you can see here, are actually doing it. So that gap, we need to be mindful of that gap because if we're not really driving positive change in our community, in our planet, and of course for our business. So I've been a partner of an organization called Sustainable Brands for the last 3 years, and I learned a lot on how to start closing that gap. And the great news is that better marketing can be part of that change so that the gap is closing faster and we can avert, climate catastrophe, we can improve the values of our society, and so on and so forth. Why is that important? Because the picture that you see here, which is this sad polar bear sitting, on a melting ice cap, surrounded by packaging waste, is something that is happening more often every year, and we need to change that. And one of the beauties of working with a company like HP is that when I discovered digital printing as a technology, I learned two basic things. The first one is, if every brand out there would be printing using this technology, it doesn't have to be HP, but it's just the technology on its own, you can remove minimum order quantities from your supply chain, which leads to a 26% pack waste reduction. Imagine all of the big global companies doing so. It could actually save us at least 50 million tons of packaging that don't need to exist. So I'm very proud to say that I work for a printing company that is telling people, don't print what you don't need to print. Only print what you need when you need it. And the second point is digital printing technology. We also did a life cycle assessment study where we compared it versus analog printing. And now we know that this technology can lead up to reduce up to 80% of CO2 emissions when packaging for products is being printed. This is a massive reduction versus how most brands print their packaging today. And this is exactly why we are so keen on partnering with the AdNet Zero program, because this is a way to continue this journey of decarbonizing your media channels, one of them being packaging. If we do that, we can start contributing to that number on the left. Those 400 billion CO2 tons is the number of tons we need to remove from the planet between now and 2040 if we want to avert the climate catastrophe. And the bare minimum, if all packaging is moving to this technology, we know we can at least remove 200 million tons of CO2 every year from our planet, which I would say is quite important. There are brands that we work with on a daily basis, like this one. This is the fastest growing coffee startup in Europe, already available in 3 markets. They started their journey by transforming the Nespresso experience into a single click without capsules. So you get the same Nespresso experience through a subscription, but you go directly from the grain of coffee to espressos, cappuccinos, you name it. And only one person in their lifetime, this is something I learned by working with them, can consume actually up to 40,000 coffee capsules in their lifetime, which is tremendous. And today we have a problem in the planet of about 60 billion coffee capsules that people are consuming every year that end up in landfill, because in many cases, even if they have biodegradable materials, they end up in a place where they cannot be recycled, they cannot be reintegrated into the stream, and it's a huge problem. So companies like this are the ones that we also put a lot of energy in supporting them, not only by doing the model that they're doing on driving more sustainable behaviors, but also on counting how many capsules they have already eliminated to date in just a couple of countries in Europe for 2 years, which is 4 million of them, 4 million of human beings who have changed their sustainable behavior to not use these capsules any longer. And while they are printing in a digital way their packaging, they're also removing around 20,000 tons of CO2, which eventually they are on a journey to enable net zero packaging in about 5 years from now, which is quite important as an example for many of you watching and thinking about what to do with your business. So as we go forward, we're going to show you a bit of inspiration on how best-in-class packaging campaigns can actually take place, and all of this being done in a more sustainable way, like Incapto Coffee is doing so in Spain, France, and Portugal. We did the research with WARC, where we analyzed also with them and through them 9,000 marketing campaigns since 2016. We also learned there that the better way to do packaging is through personalization, because it boosts your sales and your marketing ROI by 2, because it builds the equity of your brand in a more strategic way. And most importantly, this is one of the biggest learnings that I want to share with you today, which is co-creation. Co-creation is king. The number one creative strategy above all creative strategies that we explored in this research with WARC is user generated content and participation. And this is exactly what I mean by activating your community, giving them a voice, empowering them to drive your car as a brand. And you just need to pave the road of where the car is being driven. So when you do that, you will succeed and you will achieve much better ROI. But most importantly, like in Capto, you will drive sustainable behavior change, which is so important for our planet. How are we doing that in my team? So, as I said, we are partners of sustainable brands, and they have identified 9 sustainable behaviors that human beings need to change in the next few years to avert a climate catastrophe and to improve the values of our society, which are those that you see on the left. And through playbooks that we have developed with them and with many brands that are members of this community, we have drafted a blueprint on how you can achieve this more effectively through co creation and personalization. And actually, what you see here is the result of those 50 million conversations that we analyzed on social media for people to understand what are the emotional drivers, sort of the need states of personalization, which are 6, and that's the framework that you see on the right. And then how you can engage with consumers and interact with them in a more relevant, timely, and authentic manner. And out of those 6 emotional drivers that we discovered, there's one that is very relevant for this summit, which is mindful materialism on your top left. Mindful materialism is those people who not only enjoy, personalized experiences, they want to do something with purpose, something good with personalized experiences. So I'm going to show you a few case studies in this territory to give you inspiration and hopefully make you think next time that you create a marketing campaign, you launch a new product or a new service in the market, you do it in a way that is regenerating our ecosystem.
Worldwide outrage tonight over the death of Cecil the lion.
In 2015, a lion was shot dead in Africa. The lion's name was Cecil, but because he had a name, he was not just an animal. He had a character, an identity which people could relate to. Cecil's fate soon spread across the world. Unfortunately, Africa's last remaining 400,000 elephants could face the same fate as Cecil, because every 15 minutes, an African elephant is killed for its ivory. By 2030, all of Africa's elephants could be lost to poaching. For this reason, Amarula, long associated with elephants, teamed up with renowned elephant activist Dr. Paula Kahumbu, CEO of Wildlife Direct, to launch a campaign to give all of Africa's elephants a name in the hope that this would make people care more. Introducing the hashtag Name Them, Save Them campaign. A website allowed people the opportunity to name and design their own virtual elephants. After naming and designing the virtual elephants, people could share them on social media. Amarula used these bespoke designs to create unique labels for their bottles. Each bottle is therefore as individual as an African elephant. And for every elephant that was named, Amarula donated $1 to Wildlife Direct. Soon, these unique and colorful elephants began to travel around cyberspace. Web film views topped 2 million. Unique visitors on the microsite spent, on average, more than 10 minutes engaging with the virtual elephants. And in the USA alone, sales increased by a staggering 139%. But by far the most important result was on the ground. Money raised from the elephant designs is helping Wildlife Direct to buy tracker collars. These collars cost in excess of $25,000 each and let the elephants' whereabouts be known 24 hours a day, keeping them safe from poachers. One of these collared elephants is called Tim. At 47, Tim is Kenya's oldest elephant. He is now a symbol of hope that all of Africa's elephants can grow old in peace.
I hope you enjoyed watching how Amarula is a brand that has used co-creation to protect our biodiversity, which is so important. I was shocked when I learned that elephants are going to disappear from Africa by 2030 because of poaching. So this is a way, that brands are activating communities and making a real positive change across our biodiversity, which also has an impact in our climate. Another brand who is doing it very, very well is one of the clients that I'm working with currently, which is Hershey's Chocolate. Hershey's Chocolate in Brazil had this beautiful idea of splitting their brand name, how lucky they are, into 2 female pronouns. And when we discovered this idea with their creative agency, Havas, was that we could tell so many stories of female empowerment in the case of, up and coming artists across Brazil who want their voices and their stories to be heard. So every pack told a different story of these different artists. It had a QR code for people to interact also digitally with the artist and learn about their story. And most importantly, this campaign not only grew sales, it won a couple of Cannes Lion awards. Most importantly, on social media, they achieved 100% positive sentiment, which is, to be honest, unheard of. It's really hard to hear a story on social media that achieves this. They did that just by co-creating stories between women and motivating younger generation of women to do the same as these artists. Other campaigns like this one, Smirnoff celebrating Pride, they have printed hundreds of thousands of stories, of real stories from the LGBTQ community on how they come to life and how love is something worth being celebrated, no matter who you are, where you come from, and what you believe in. Those stories are represented in each bottle individually in unique ways for people to be inspired to share their story with the world and celebrate love. Another one that is quite interesting is COVID. The COVID-19 created a lot of campaigns all over the world for us, but this one is very, very worth mentioning because they had a lot of creative courage. Dettol, the brand of antibacterial gel, helped a lot Indian communities across their country survive the pandemic. They didn't have a good time through the journey of the pandemic and they were struggling, to be honest. And all of those stories of success on how people overcame the pandemic in their local communities were printed on the bottle and shared with everyone across 300,000 different people who did this on a website, which we ended up printing for them. They were so brave that they even removed their logo from the front of the pack. And this was the right thing to do for them because for them, it was exactly what I was saying. They're putting the voice of the community at the service of the community. So it's pure co creation to help the community overcome a challenge that they need to come together on and learn from each other on how to overcome that challenge. Another one is Kleenex. Kleenex, a brand of tissues, as you know, created beautiful poems on grandmas who learned to read and write for the first time in their life after they were 70 years of age or older, to just be able to interact with the world around them. They drafted these thank you poems to their teachers, teaching them that. And all of those stories were very nicely printed on the Kleenex boxes, which actually brought you to tears. If you would be speaking Korean, wherever you are, you can read those symbols over there and actually come to tears by just understanding how grateful a human being can be for teaching them something new, but something so basic like reading and writing. And last but not least, I will end with a very, very important case study on Nescafe as a coffee brand who has been a pioneer in co-creation with in partnership with us, but most importantly, they achieved successful long-term results over and over and over again. They started their journey by rejuvenating their brand, leveraging seasonality around New Year's resolutions, and bringing their big idea to life. It all starts with an Nescafe. We created together the top 300 resolutions of Mexicans every single year. We've been doing that for the last 6 years, where we invite the community to become a better version of yourself. And whatever your objective is, it will be celebrated on a jar of Nescafe. So when you start your day and you have the resolution that is right for you, you will be motivated to fulfill that objective, to be that better version of yourself as a human being. This type of campaign was an omni-channel campaign and it has achieved wonderful results. Actually, when you see the results over the last 6 years where they have continuously used co-creation, not only they've grown sales and market share consistently, but they've earned a lot of social media reach that is incremental to their media plan, which is very, very beneficial. And all of these labels, they print about 15 million of these labels every year, are reducing CO2 emissions by 80% instead of just doing it the traditional way. So all of this great marketing inspiration that I bring you is not because it's only great marketing, but it's sustainable by design because it's digitally printed. And that's something to bear in mind because now what we're doing with a brand like this is this journey of not only telling their story and how they support 20,000 coffee farming families across Latin America, but the impact it has on the community. And to be fair, on giving prosperity back to the farmers because they're telling their stories individually and how they support them in having them giving them access to education, home to live in, salary that is prosperous, and enables you to live a life with dignity and enjoy the work that you're doing. So many of the things they wanted to do through this campaign was strengthen their perception of sustainability and of course increase brand relevance. I'm going to play now a short video that explains the impact this campaign has had in the community. I hope you enjoy it.
Hay miles de caficultores comprometidos detrás de cada taza de Nescafé. Y en agradecimiento, queremos que conozca sus caras y sus nombres. Por eso los pusimos al frente de nuestros frascos, rindiéndoles un tributo.
Se siente alegría, porque saber que aquí también están tomando en cuenta parte del trabajo que nosotros hacemos.
¿Quién está acá?
Yo estoy acá en la J.
Y miren, esto va a ser un regalo para ti.
Son más de 20,000 caficultores que desde 2010 trabajan con Plan Nescafé. Nescafé Tributo. Un reconocimiento a quienes hacen posible que disfrutemos de una taza de Nescafé. Conoce sus historias en nescafé.com.mx.
So I hope that it brought you to tears. The first time I saw this video, it really made me cry, because you can't imagine how much of a simple thing it is to celebrate each of them individually on these labels, and the impact it has when they see that the fruit of their work, to sort to say. Every year they've been printing about 1,000 coffee farmer stories in their jars, which has actually enabled them to gain additional shelf space on retail and supermarkets. But most importantly, they've been able to win a Global Grand Effie Award, because they've done it consistently over the last 4 years. And as you can see, the equity metrics, not only the volume, but the equity metrics have grown considerably. I want to focus your attention on the top right hand side, which says improves the life of coffee growers. The perception of this brand has increased on that metric from 44% to 72%. It's tremendous the work that they're doing to be a socially responsible brand that is walking the talk, and consumers, and most importantly, communities, as I said, are recognizing that. And this is a big part of why they have won such an important award. Other brands who have been doing this for many, many years is one that I'm sure you know and I'm sure you enjoy eating, called Nutella. And Nutella has been doing this for many years. Actually, more than 50 million jars have been produced with this technology, enabling a reduction of more than 200,000 tons of CO2 from the planet. So, at the same time that Nutella has been learning how to do co creation, they have been accelerating their sustainability journey and reducing carbon emissions from our planet in many, many creative ways, I would have to say. So, in conclusion, there is one thing I want you to learn from these 20 minutes that we're spending together, which is just give a voice to your audience and you will positively impact their behavior. Because co creation, we now know, thanks to work, that it drives a 2x ROI for your business. Why is that? Because of this effect. Actually, what is happening with many of these brands is that they're saving paid media money and they're investing part of that money into their own packaging, their own products, and through co-creation, they're earning media. On average, about 30% more earned media you're getting, because people love to share stories that they feel identified with and that they feel a sense of belonging. If you give people a sense of belonging and a framework to share their stories within a campaign, you will get this effect, which is even more profitable for your business. So, to conclude, and in summary, I'll leave you with 5 takeaways. I know purpose, we all talk about purpose, but it's so important to make sure that all of these stories, like the ones that I told today, have purpose at the heart of the content that you create, that you build the mindset of regeneration with your community, that you enable them to co create personalized experiences. And it enables you to also create consumer journeys that drive net zero physical solutions, not only digital ones. I know digital is important and it will never go away. But the balance between digital and physical is important because we live in both worlds at the same time. So we have a solution to help your physical journey become eventually a net zero solution through time. And eventually, if you do all of that, as you saw, you will maximize your return on investment. So my invitation is to join me as a marketer, as a former marketer myself, in driving better marketing to effectively help brands enable sustainable behavior change via co-creation of what we call phygital experiences. I hope you enjoyed the conversation for the past 20 minutes, and I look forward on connecting with you either on LinkedIn, on email, or you can scan that QR code and discover more stories like the ones that I told you today. Thank you so much to the AdNet Zero team for inviting me to this conversation, and I'm happy to be at your service whenever you need it. Thank you. Bye-bye.